And there's Kate. Hi, Kate.
Good morning.
From Manila. So Manila, you're on the same timing as Terry. Well done. Appreciate it. Terry's in Malaysia. And there's Kenny.
Hello.
Not Polish. Which country are you in, Kenny? England?
I'm in England, London, England.
Okay. Do you want to put your name on there?
Ah, whoops. Forgot who I was.
Though I like men speak. How
Well, you know,
appropriate.
Yes.
That's the groups I run.
Kenny is the man whisperer.
Thank you. Though I do make a lot more noise sometimes, so brace yourselves.
Hi, Alison.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Paul.
How are you?
Hi, Paul.
Hello.
England. Paul's from England. So we're doing well. We need our Canadians coming in. We've got 2 Canadians coming in if they make it.
Wonderful.
There are Mohammed should be coming in, and Donna. And Supana is from England. Mohammed's from Canada. Yay!
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see everyone.
Hello, brother.
Hi.
Hi, Supana. Good to see you.
Hello, Colleen. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning, Mohammed. You're coming in from Canada. That's lovely.
I am. Thank you for having me.
That's okay. We may have another participant from Canada. She hasn't arrived yet. I'm just watching the time. So I have set my recording so that I don't forget that. And it's 8 o'clock, so we're going to start. And I want to welcome all of you and whoever comes next. Angela from California, wave Angela. There's Angela, is helping me today with breakout rooms because I'm not so good at that. And we have Philip in my top corner, who's in England, who will be also helping with some recording and some of the groups. And we have Anita's just joined us from Texas, I think. I'm not sure. Sorry?
Colorado.
Colorado, sorry, Colorado. Okay, what I'd love to do for you to do is to drop your name and details into the chat. So anybody who hasn't been here before will also get to know all of you. What is fabulous about this wonderful tribe is that you are starting to make amazing connections already. I know that Terry, who's come in from Malaysia, has already connected with Knut, who's in, he's not actually in Tuscany, but he's in Portugal. And Kenny, you've also connected with them. And there are various connections starting already, which is, again, really a wonderful thing to be happening. So if you can put your details in the chat, that would be great. And we are expecting a few more. And today we are doing things different. So for those of you who have been here even since June, I want to just explain very quickly the history of creating our future together, creating a new narrative, real synergy, gender dynamics, all the stuff that I am incredibly passionate about. And today, we really are wanting to hear from all of you in different groups to different questions. And we are going to go into some breakout rooms very specifically. And the whole goal is for you to start contributing, because our mission is to create that narrative. I think we're totally ready in the world for something new. And the focus is real synergy between men and women. It could be about the planet, it could be about harmony, it could be about anything, but it's very specifically about men and women coming into synergy with each other. And what does that mean? What is the kind of narrative that we could actually share and actually create together. So this is the first stage in bringing men and women together from the single gender sessions that some of you have attended. Now, I know some of you are new today, but all the recordings are up on my YouTube channel, and I really hope that you will watch those. So we have done 2 sessions with men only and 2 sessions with women only. And this is the first, after those 2, of us coming together. And therefore, this whole idea of synergy, of coming together, it's absolutely vital for me in my own life. And I would love to share a quick story. Hi, Boris. Is somebody else coming? I want to share a story about being in something together. In 2006, January I traveled to Kenya. It was an amazing trip. I went to climb a mountain. I went to walk up Mount Kenya. It was a very sudden decision. I wasn't quite sure where I was going. It was one of those signs from the universe that said, please go and do this. So I knew the mountain was involved and that we were going to be traveling together. And I was with people I didn't know. And this is very important. There were about 25 of us, and I didn't know anybody except for the one guy who was running it. And I had only met him twice. Now, you might say, why did I make that decision to go? I was in my late 50s at the time. I wasn't particularly fit, but I just felt I had to go and do something else with my life because something needed to change, something needed to shift. Now, apart from walking up the mountain, which was an adventure in itself, on the very first day we were there, we were taken whitewater rafting. I don't know how many of you have been whitewater rafting, but I had never been whitewater rafting before. And I found myself with a life jacket on and my sneakers and my t-shirt being put into a very small boat with 5 other people that I didn't know and a leader. And there were several boats. And the instruction was, you've got to put your feet under the straps where the sort of tower bit was. And the very important thing was that you had to hold the end of the paddle, not the paddle bit, but the other end, because he said, if you don't hold the end of the paddle, when we get into a crash situation, if you let go of that paddle end may hurt somebody, they may even kill somebody because it'll be a loose cannon. So we set off, and on the first trip down a rapid, guess who fell out of the boat? And as I started falling backwards into the water, thinking, oh my God, I can't remember where my paddle was. A hand grabbed me and pulled me back into the boat. And this is happening at speed. The water's going like this. I was so relieved, I thought, and I was going, thank you. And he lambasted me. He lambasted me, if I hope you got the right word. He said, you didn't listen to the rules. If you let that paddle go, you're going to kill somebody. Make sure you hold it. Otherwise, I will throw you out of the boat. Wow, that was such a big lesson to me. Such a big lesson about togetherness. And I paid attention. I got my feet well and truly stuck under the thing, and we went through even worse rapids after that. So it struck me that we're in a very rapid situation at the moment with COVID, with all the things that are happening around us. And one of my passions is that we get to understand what the hell it is that we aren't doing right yet between men and women. Now, my expectation of all of you is that you're very wise. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. You've come on many of the other sessions before, and now you're here, and we know the intention. And on both of these single gender sessions, we asked, how do you see the others? How do men see women? How do they see themselves? How do women see men? How do they see themselves? How do we understand the difference? So I hope we agreed in the first place that we are different, but we're beautifully different. We bring complementary and amazing talents together. And as half the world is female, half the world is male, I see that we need to understand this. Now, all of you know my work. I'm not going to go into detail about the gender dynamics map, but remember it's about male, female, masculine, feminine in all of us. And it's about the language, the words, the deeds, the values, the principles that come together when we understand each other. So what I'd like to do is to start our first part of today, which is to take a look at a question about how we see each other. So I'm going to ask Angela to share what the question is, and she's going to allocate us into a male room and a female room. Later on, we're going to have a breakout session where we go into groups with men and women together. But this is a trial. We've never done this before. So you're all in that boat with me. So hold on to the end of your paddle, okay? And try not to hit anybody else as you go over the rapids. It's about, in 8 minutes, we want you to start coming up with some ideas that we can share. And we will have a second breakout session. And then at the end, we'll have some discussion in the middle and at the end about how we take this forward. So Angela, I'm going to invite you to share how we're going to go into breakout groups. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the questions are there for the men's and the women's groups. And you can see the chat in the breakout room. You won't have to do anything to get into the breakout room, or I'll make sure that you'll just get in there without you clicking anything. I'll give you a couple of minutes before the end. So about 6 minutes in, I'll give you a 2-minute warning of wrapping up the conversation. And Pauline, if I remember correctly, one person will bottom line coming back. So if you can appoint that person in the group before you come back, yeah.
Can you all see the question in the chat?
Yeah.
So each group, we're looking at what do you value, desire most as a group of men or group of women for a future synergy with the other gender, and what do you think the other gender will think about as well? Are we okay?
Any questions? No?
We're all okay. Okay, go for the breakout rooms.
I have a good conversation.
Sylvia, hi there. Are the questions related to like work specific scenarios or just in general, like between men and women in terms of, you know, the synergy and dynamics?
Yes, it's a very good question. Thank you, Sylvia. I think it's general. It's because life at work is so mixed now. We can share whether it's let's get into what we think it is. What do we think as a group of women our most important desire? What do we value most in the idea of having synergy between men and women?
Equality.
This is Suparna. I'd love to say respect for and you know, I'm trying to phrase this. Respect to hear my voice, to have my voice heard, and respect to listen to what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yes, I'd agree with respect, but also I think it is about that listening. They're willing to listen and to hear and to value what women say, that they do have an important input to make, and that their vision of the world and their experience of the world is very different. It's recognizing that difference, but how that harmonizes together in order to make a whole.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Tammy.
Access to a seat at the same tables, and that's where those conversations can begin, where we will be heard, where we are not just listened to and then they go off and, you know, make their decisions in their boardrooms and stuff. So I think a seat at the same tables.
I think that's so important, Tammy. When I was sitting at a board, there would be conversations, but all the decisions were made in the male toilets because the women didn't have access to that. And I think it's about keeping them at the table. When you get there, keeping them there so that they're going to actually make decisions with you.
Absolutely, Dawn.
Okay. Anita?
Anita, yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, one of the things I would see synergy is that the ability to receive the actual contributions of the other person. So, so it's not just that, oh, yeah, they're here, but you're able to receive them and I'm able to receive yours. So.
Yeah.
Anna?
I was going to say that I agree with everything everybody has said. I was going to suggest, you know, a new relationship between feeling and doing. And so, because I often find that if, you know, I'm in a meeting with a bunch of men, and I may be one of a smaller group of women, for example, we're seen as more informal because our contributions are more informal, because especially in the work that I do, which is around family caregiving and social care, so, and health. So these issues are highly emotional and often come from personal stories, which this is sometimes at odds with deliverables that are very action oriented. And there is somehow, I feel, a substantive difference in these two approaches to problem solving.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, let's go. Alison, I think you had your hand up next.
Yeah, thank you. Agreeing about being heard and listened to with that respect of what we are saying is equally important, and asking for that compassion that we lend to somebody else that come back to us. So that crossing of the footbridge to ask to come to our side, just what she was saying about, even if our information is emotional, to come sit on our side and hear why we're presenting it and why it has that importance, and not just saying, I hear you, but I'm actually listening to what you're saying, because there are two different ways for me. I hear you feels like I'm being put off. I really want someone to listen to what I have to say.
Yeah, okay. Who's next?
I can go and kind of, on what Alison just said, work on that. Being heard, being understood, and being understood in the way that we're different, in what we bring in as a complement to their skills. We started this conversation being equal. For me, I don't want to be equal. I don't want to be a man or a man-like in the room. I've spent my entire life in corporate trying to be just like them. I'm not like them. All I was doing was betraying who I am as a woman. I want to bring in that intuition, that wisdom, that nurturing, that it's typical of us as women, and not just being like another man in the room. So I want men to understand that, understand what we bring in as complement to their talents.
Okay.
Actually,
So
I'll add to that, if I may, Colleen. That was, you know, loved everything that everyone's saying, but it's also, when I think about somebody would say, I know someone, a friend of mine who has body dysmorphia, I don't understand what that feels like or what that is. And so it's about understanding where they're coming from and what their fears might be, and, you know, and speaking to them from that place rather than speaking to them thinking that they think the same way as I do, and vice versa.
yes. Okay, let's hear from everybody. How about Sylvia and Kate?
Thank you. Yeah, I've been reflecting on this notion of like similarities and differences. So what I find in a lot of male-driven or male-heavy settings is that the males would tend to, say, focus on the distinctions or differences in a woman colleague of theirs. And what I love to see personally is, you know, while we want to have respect for our differences, to start to spot the things that are similar. So, right, there are many times when we're more alike than we're different, yet our brains tend to go to like, oh, well, she's in a dress and I'm in pants, right, as a male. Or, right, she, she's younger, therefore, right, I'm gonna make some assumptions about her versus going, we might have shared experiences, share backgrounds, share ideals, share outcomes. That's something that I love to see more of, even within in-groups, right? Even within a group of women, a group of whatever level you're at work, etc.
Okay, Kate and Nadia, you haven't said anything. Do you want to say anything, Kate?
Well, I actually said equality, and when I say equality, I mean, I'm gonna bring it up to present day if you ladies don't mind. It's, I'm working from home and got 3 kids and you can probably hear them, 3 kids and just trying to balance the whole thing. And there are days where I'm just feeling like, gosh, can't they just pick up the slack just a little bit more? It feels like it falls on us just that much more. And with that, it's to bring our puzzle piece and be allowed our puzzle piece and to see the bigger picture and where equality falls in all of that. Am I making any sense? Sorry, it's like so late.
Absolutely.
It's not up 100%.
Nadia, anything you would?
Yes. I want to bring it from the other side, because in my case, in my dynamic, I'm experiencing like situation with very similar to Kate, except it's the opposite with my ex-husband, where he's totally disconnected from the world, and so it's all Nadia does it. And it's interesting because it's like, okay, the furnace is leaking now, or there's leaking in the house, and he just sits on the couch, continue watching TV, and it's like Nadia's gonna take care of it. So I'm absolutely heard and understood that so the point I'm saying here is that I feel for myself that people have we are coming from a different wavelength, and there are times where the other person we're talking to or having a conversation with is not on the same wavelength as I am, and that feel like I'm not heard many times. But I also know that he's not capable of hearing me, and it's now my responsibility to do something about it from like, well, why I'm here. So I mean, I know that I'm going completely the opposite of what we are talking about here.
Well, I think because we're coming up to time.
Yeah, we are. I was just gonna say we're closing. We have 30 seconds to wrap up, but I'm closing the room. So.
I want to know who would like to report back. I posted the words in there. Alison, will you call back? Because Alison's very good at doing this. But I think what we're talking about is we want to be heard, we want to be felt, we want to be understood, we want to be there at the table. Okay, let's see what the other half we've kind of covered about what we think men think. And that was about having the conversation together.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
See you back in the main room.
Well, hello.
Hello.
That was quick.
I know.